Hey everybody, welcome back to the DANCNG SOBR podcast. Thank you so much to my guest today for suffering this heat and making time to come in here. I appreciate them so much. I want to give a big shout out to Espacio 1839 for allowing us to do our podcast here. Please visit Espacio1839.com to order some books, order some t-shirts, order some hats, order their jackets because winter is coming, my friend. Also, you can visit them online at Espacio1839.com or visit them in person at 1839 East 1st Street in Boyle Heights. Thank you so much. We are a listener-supported podcast, so please open up your Venmo app and go to DANCNG SOBR, that's DANCNG SOBR, and send us a little bit of love. We appreciate you so much. In this time that we don't have a sponsor, anything that you send is helpful. Thank you. This week, our guest is somebody that you've definitely seen at an art show if you are somebody that goes gallery hopping. She is an arts advocate, an artist advocate. She is definitely a mural expert and art historian. So welcome to the podcast today, Isabel Rojas-Williams. Hey everybody, welcome back to the DANCNG SOBR podcast. And this week we have mural conservationist and art advocate Isabel Rojas-Williams. Hi.
Hi, thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. Yes, I'm doing very well.
Yes.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of things going on in your life right now, and I appreciate so much you coming in here and giving us the time to, share with us some of your life story. So, as you know, because I know that you also listen to this podcast,
yes.
We like to start at the beginning about your story. So let's just get right into it, and tell us a little bit about Isabel when you were young and where you grew up and where you were born and everything, if you can.
But before I say that, I wanted to say thank you for keeping me company from the pandemic on in my walks, in my daily walks. It really distracted me from the craziness of the pandemic. So, and seeing you on your bike at the beginning going throughout LA was wonderful, and also learning about so many people that I didn't know, or to learn more about people that I already know.
So on your walks, you would listen to the podcast?
Every day.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Every day. Yeah, I try to walk exactly the time of your podcast. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, I was born in Chile. Chile is known because people are very political. So there is a saying that goes that Chileans are born with the newspaper and marraqueta under their arms. And marraqueta, it's like a bolillo. And so people, in my days, at least now, social media, things are different. Everybody, very informed, very political. And we all read, And so I was born there. I went to school there. I came to this country, specifically to Highland Park in 1973. And so I did go to school there. I went to a nun school. And
a nun school? Which one was it? In Highland Park?
No. In Chile.
Oh, in Chile,
I came here at 22, almost 23.
Sorry. Okay.
In Chile, no. And when I came here, I went to other nuns.
Okay. So in Chile, you started in a nun school.
Yes, and when I went to grammar
Escuela de
school.
Monjas, or what do they call it over there?
Escuela de Monjas, Escuela Católica de Monjas.
Catholic school, yeah.
Yes, and I wasn't very happy. I didn't like the nuns at all. They didn't like me either. And, so I had, nothing but unhappiness with being in that school. So later for high school, I went to a different school. In those days, in Chile, it was all together, middle school and high school all together. And so that was nice, regular student life. I was very studious.
Well, let's get a little, let's go a little bit into like what kind of a younger kid, how was it growing up in Chile? Like, were you in the city? Were you
in the city? I always live in Santiago, and yes, in the city. So I was always exposed to Chile is a very Eurocentric country, so there's a lot of theater of the streets, very avant-garde in the sense of culturally speaking. So I was very aware of that always, reading and attending events like that, not as a child, but as a teenager.
Yeah.
And it was like a very wonderful childhood, even though we were very poor. My mother was a widow when I was 2 years old, and she was pregnant with my third sister. She married 7 years after, and I had 3 more brothers and sisters. So I had a very good life, even though we didn't have anything. We were happy, a very together family. Yeah. Where my mother raised us, by herself. Because
so you were very young when your father passed away?
2 years old.
2 years old, okay. Yeah. So you never got to meet.
My sister was 4, I was 2, and my mother was pregnant with the third baby. And then she remarried 7 years after, and so I have 3 more a sister and 2 brothers, and we are very together as a family,
What did your mother do?
My mother did anything that she could to bring money to the house to give us education. We had nothing but books and going to school.
Oh, that's good.
My mother, and the house was always full of people because we were so many. And we always sat around the table, 6 of us, completely different, everybody with their own political ideas, religious ideas. We were all extremely different. But my mother always told us, you are all together, you all come from the same, and we love, still do, like 2 pieces. We are they call us the clan, the Rojas clan.
That's
because
awesome.
We are like this,
I love that. There was discussions around, like when you were young. When I was young, there was like absolutely no discussions. My father and mother either worked or, my mom at home, but we never sat and talked about anything politics, never sat and talked about anything art. So I'm like just interested in like what kind of things like that did your family do to like help put that, since you were really, really young, into you?
It was mostly, guided by my mom. My mom, even though she didn't have a lot of higher education, she was super wise and self-taught. And because we all read the paper. Everybody was like a must. Nobody told us. The paper was there every day. I still have the same habit. So I woke up.
What decade was this?
I was born in I'm 73.
Okay.
So talking about from 50s. The 50s, 60s. And so the paper was there, and we all, we took turns to read, but I always wanted to be the first one. I hate it. I still do when people touches my paper, because it's all messed up. No. Or we began doing the crossword puzzles. I didn't want anybody to. I wanted to be the one to do that.
I think I'm from the last generation that got to do that. And I didn't start reading the paper till I was 18 when I started working in law offices, and I would see everybody read the Wall Street Journal. Right. So I started picking up the LA Times every day to have the same kind of vibe, right? And I think I was from the last generation that got to do that, to have the paper, to fight for, I want that section before anybody else touches it, and to fight for the comics, because I always fought for the comics.
Right.
And that's really something that doesn't happen anymore. But like for many reasons. Of
course. And now, obviously, particularly because the technology, but there is a pleasure on getting your hands with the ink, the scent of the newspaper. And it's just something about. I think it's a cognitive issue about it. You learn more when you use all your senses. Yeah. So reading a paper, things stay in your brain longer than when it goes fast on Instagram. Yeah,
and also like because we like to touch. Yes. So because I read in the Kindle with the computer thing, I read in that thing, but I do get more pleasure from holding a book.
Yes, just absolutely. And the smell of the book. You can't, nothing compares to that.
Yeah, but for ease and for convenience.
Right.
It's easy to carry one little tiny thing with 1,000 books in it.
Absolutely. But I don't, obviously also because my age, I can't see as
Yeah.
well, while
Igualmente,
the
yo
paper,
también,
like I wake up, still wake up with the paper in my pillow.
Yeah.
Steve, my husband, makes sure that
He
the
brings it over,
newspaper
puts
it in my pillow, like. So anyhow, so that's how we were raised.
That's beautiful.
Reading, but in those days, and this is not only my family, not only Chile, it happened worldwide.
Yeah.
We read books.
Yeah.
Right? So we were informed about what was happening. And then, in Chile, I was in high school, the 60s happened. Every way that we remember of that, like Free Love, the Beatles, Bob Dylan, the music, the incredible music that has so much meaning, and the politics. I mean, you had all what was happening worldwide, the students walkouts in here, in Chile, in France,
This is when you were in high school now.
Yeah. So all this is happening, and you could not participate in that. So I always participated. I still do. I go marching. Everything that I believe in, I'm out supporting. So it began then. Yes, I was, like doing that.
So you were around, or you left because of Pinochet, right?
That comes a little after.
A little later, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, because
so we can get to that after then.
Yeah, because what happened is that during the time that I was in high school, probably my last year of high school, then I went to college. I couldn't finish college. My mother got real sick. And for political reasons, my mother was unable to function for about 6 months. They told us that it was some brain damage, that she was never going to be able to be back to be normal, but she did. We, with lots of love, we helped her to get well. And then she was divorced at the time from her second husband. So we did a lot of struggling, like a lot of people don't believe or realize that I came from very poor beginnings. I live in two worlds. My grandparents had money and they had businesses, and my mother decided to marry my father, who was a socialist poet. Very politically involved. He worked for the train railroad company, and he would go from little town to town trying to form unions.
Wow.
And so he did this winter, summer, and he died of, what is it? But it comes after bronchopneumonia.
Pneumonia?
No, it's worse than that, much worse than bronchopneumonia, but tuberculosis.
Oh, okay.
Because in those days, it wasn't easy to get the medicine that would help you with that type of illness. So he died. And so my mother struggled, and my grandparents had the money, but my grandfather, when my mother decided to marry my father, he disowned her. And he said, if you marry this man, you're out of the family. And so from then on, like I live when before this, the weekends, with my mom, we would go to grandma's, and we had everything. I had everything because I stayed with her. We took turns with my siblings. And then things changed dramatically, and we had nothing. Living with mom, it was nothing, but I never miss anything because we had a very happy family, a very connected family, a very loving family with my mother taught us deep, principles and values. And so I have nothing but good memories of my childhood. The bad parts, there's something about me that I leave them behind. So, yeah.
Well, I think that also maybe taught you a lot of just being present in the moment, right? And also it's easier as a child just to be present in the moment where you don't really think about all the heaviness around you, but you think of I'm here with my mom and my sisters, and that's heaven.
Yeah, it's the only way.
That alone is good, yeah.
Only the present exists, So,
yeah.
But anyhow, so then, I went to college, and then, these are the times when Allende is chosen in 1970, the first socialist president democratically chosen in Chile. And there were this group of muralists called Brigada Ramona Parra, the VRP. And there was a huge division between the right and the left, as usual, nothing that we don't know about. And so these muralists, people were painting on walls. Everything related to, protecting the government because many people wanted to, demote the president, including this country. This country was very interested and it intervened. The CIA, Nixon, there's a huge article today in the LA Times about Nixon and Kissinger's intervention in demoting the president of Chile. So this is happening. We're all working towards this. I'm out in the street fighting, to keep the government in power. And so I began getting involved more and more into this. And
real quick, where did you go to school? What was the name of it? The college, and what were you studying at the time?
It was Universidad Técnica, which was more like I always call it the University of the People.
Oh, okay.
Because politically it was the place that. But then I began working with the people who were my professors, and they founded a huge organization called Registro Nacional de Comerciantes, and they just had founded the place, and I was the first secretary. My professor asked me if I wanted to help. So I was the first person that they hired to work with them. They were all lawyers.
Wow.
And so because of this, yes.
What were you studying?
It was just the general.
Oh, general.
Yes.
Okay,
I haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
But then they told me, I was like a hardworking person, and the money was very needed to help my family. So they asked me if I wanted to go and study law because they were also teaching at the university, but I couldn't go full time because we needed the money. So I went to the classes, but without getting the proper credits. So, but I did have like 3 years of credit when I came here from college, and. So it was a wonderful experience for me because I was taking notes during the time where the three presidents, the last, the current, and the future president of Chile were in the Senate, and I was in a little corner taking, in those days, notes in shorthand.
Yeah.
So I got to meet all these people. I learned how to, I don't want to say behave, but in a way in certain spaces.
The etiquette of the time, or the etiquette of the space that you were in.
And what you do and what you don't do, right? And then, where my office was, our building was a beautiful old building that today is a university. So we had a chef, and the wife was a cook, and it was incredible. But anyhow, so these people, the ministers and the senators and the ex-presidents would come and have their meetings there, lunch meetings. So I would have to I did learn how to make strings, to teach them how to do it. And we didn't have social media. I had to read in the books how to do this. But pisco sour was a very favorite then. And then, the food, what type of food. And so eventually the restaurants would call me and say, oh, Isabel, we just received whatever, the expensive seafood or whatever. Why don't you come over and sample it to see if you need it for the meeting? So I would. And so it was a very, and I hate the word sophisticated, but I'm using it on the second sense definition where learning about how to. A lot of things, Yeah. So it was really a learning experience in my young life. And then,
you were managing a lot of it, so you were also learning to...
And I was super young. I was super young. So, I live in two worlds. This was a world of the 1%, where these people were the owners or the presidents of banks and things like that. And at night, I was hanging out with my college friends, and we were pasting wheat paste on walls with political messages until I got caught. And so I was caught first by my mom.
That was serious. offenses, right?
Yes.
To get caught doing that.
Yes.
In that country in those years.
Totally.
Was
yes.
Completely serious.
But the first one that got me was my mother, and it's like.
What was worse, your mother or the cops?
My mother.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
And it was incredible because I was wearing, bandana because the police, they have those gases that with pepper.
The tear gas,
So we knew that we didn't have backpacks in those days, but we carry, in my purse or whatever I had. Oh no, there were those beautiful hand-woven bags from the 60s and the 70s that they look like this.
Okay, yeah.
So in there, we carry lemons and water and the things that you needed to put on your mouth. When the gas pepper got them. So anyhow, so my mother have no idea. She could recognize my eyes, my hair, my clothes. I have no idea, but like this with my hair, pulled me out to the sidewalk, and I was terrified because my mother never expected me to do something like that. I was kind of quiet, very politically verbal, but not.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I kept on doing that, and eventually, 1973, things got real bad. There were the rumors that the people that they were in a black book, or that, if you were involved with these people, I saw people being killed in the streets in front of me. I was threatened with a machine gun.
Wow.
And that happened more than one time. Yeah. So, and then the militaries took over, September 11, 1973, the first 9/11 in the world.
I just had to take a second and think about that and how intense that is. And, there's the act that you did of wheat pasting and fighting for something, and the level of intent and change you were trying to bring. I don't even know the words for it, but yeah, it's a much bigger moment than just saying I was wheat pasting and the cops got me, and I'm trying to find words to give it the meaning that it had, which was a lot more intense.
I understand what you're saying, but I was one of thousands.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
so to me it was it happens to all my friends, and it happens to all of us, and they went to certain places where, but
there had to be thousands and thousands of people doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and everybody masked.
Yes. So the coup happened, and 200,000 of us were forced out of our country of birth. Wow. 3,000 people died, and almost 3,000 people were tortured, men and women and children alike. And many people disappeared. Until today, we have no idea where they are. So it was very painful time of my life. I left Chile in the times when we didn't have cell phones. I couldn't call my mom. So calling for 1 minute in those days to Chile was $50 a minute.
What?
And I couldn't afford it,
To call from the U.S. to Chile was $50 for 1 minute.
We didn't have any technology. It didn't exist. Nothing existed. Now we can WhatsApp for free.
The telephone wires, when they were barely connecting in the U.S. across
and you had to
rural
remember
areas. Yeah.
that Chile was a third world country or emerging country. Yeah. Now it's very different, but in those days, when I left Chile, the week after I left, the first market opened up in Chile, close to my mother's neighborhood. So it was nothing like here. Yeah. So I came here to Highland Park. So I live at the beautiful old building on Avenue 50 and Figueroa, across from the park.
Okay.
Around the corner from Avenue 50 Gallery.
Yeah.
And my first job was right there. My office was a small gallery next to the main gallery at Avenue 50.
Really?
Avenue 50 didn't exist in those days.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a company owned by a Chilean man that maintained gasoline pumps.
Okay.
And so he gave me the opportunity to give me a job, pay me half of minimum wages, but I'm so grateful until now that I had the opportunity to earn a little money, which I sent to my mother to help educate my younger siblings. So there I was in Highland Park.
Wait, when you left, did your mom know you were leaving?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
she did know.
yes, yeah.
Okay, but you weren't able to call her until you had finally settled and everything.
And we had a plan as a family, that I had contacted some people there, that my mother and my siblings would be able to cross to Argentina through this secret road if things got worse, which they did. And so I arrived in Avenue 50. I mean, everything is new to me. I don't know
What year
anybody.
was this?
73.
Wow.
And so I always say that I came here with the empty luggage full of dreams because I had nothing.
Yeah.
Just what I was wearing and a little baggie with some jewelry that my mother gave me. So at this point in East Los Angeles, I came from the fire to another fire because this is
right
the time of
the movements,
Chicano civil rights, the Black Panther, and I mean it's happening everywhere. It's like fire everywhere. So I arrived here, and then we went to a little jewelry store. We bought a little store. In those days, you could buy with $500, which 50 years ago it was money. Not little money, not a lot of money, but not little money either. But we sold that and bought a little store, and I don't know whether the right word buying it.
Now, when you say we, that's you?
My ex-husband.
Okay.
But it was a franchise for Singer sewing machines.
Oh, okay.
And so it was the second store between Federally and Whittier Boulevard.
Wow.
So I consider my arrival here my second birth.
Yeah.
Because I made myself in what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, you just arrived. You were like, "This is what I am, and this is."
Nobody knew who I was. No family. No, because in Chile is where you live, who your parents are, what school you go to. That defines who you are.
Yeah.
But here I was nobody. I mean, I just got here and I said, okay, this is me. I got to make something out of myself. And so, we bought, in those days, it was a white flight from East Los Angeles. There were many Jewish families. You are, according to what I hear in your podcast, 50 or 51 or something like that. So you probably don't know this about East Los Angeles.
No, I know there was a lot of Jewish families,
Yes.
No, definitely. That's what Cesar Chavez was Brooklyn Avenue and all those businesses there.
Exactly.
We used to have
Whittier Boulevard
all the delis. We had pickles.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And Cantor's,
Cantor's was there, So we had a lot of Jewish, Irish, and Russian and Italian. So there was a big mix of people,
So, my neighborhoods were East Los Angeles, Ball Heights, and Highland Park. And, so we had all the people, there were many furniture stores in Whittier Boulevard that were owned by Jewish people. So they all were selling for little money because they wanted to get out of here.
They were starting to move.
Yes, because the Chicanos were marching on Whittier Boulevard. And then you had the Fridays where the lowriders would go every Friday,
the OG cruising days.
Exactly. So on Fridays, you had to get out of there early or wait until the cruises were over, And those arches where it says
East Los Angeles
or Whittier Boulevard,
Whittier Boulevard,
they didn't exist. No, none of that existed. I mean, they were all very charming little stores, you know. Like my son used to cross the street. I think it was Woolworth, where he used to sit on the stool on the bar and order tacos, and So, and he was free to walk around.
Yeah.
I never had any fears. It was a wonderful childhood for him in East Los Angeles, and he would come to work with me when he was little. So and then I got divorced when my son was like 5 years old or 4 years old. And during the time I was married to my ex, I tried to go to college. I went to East Los Angeles College. I went to PCC, and I applied to Cal State LA. It took me 30 years for Cal State LA to accept me because I didn't have records. Of my in those days, it was microfilm, and they were all burned during the coup d'etat in my particular school. Not everybody's, but mine. For some miracle, one of my classmates worked for the university, found records.
Wow.
But 30 years happened, and I used to go every year and talk to Lupe, the secretary in the art department at Cal State LA. And Lupe, what's happening when you didn't get accepted? No. So 30 years after I was in Chile, Lupe called me. And, she had all my information because I became friends with her.
Yeah.
And then she called me, she said, Isabel, you've been accepted.
Wow.
And so they gave me credit for my 3 years, and so I completed my bachelor's. And then I went for my master's, and I ended up teaching there. And then the Mural Conservancy hired me right out.
What was your degree in at Cal
Art
State?
history.
Art history, okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And those were very intense years. I had wonderful mentors, professors who were obviously younger than me. And all my friends today, are all in their 30s, because I went to school with them. They were fantastic. And so while I was at Cal State LA, in my classes, I invited graffiti artists, pioneer muralists to my classes. Mm-hmm. And when I invited the graffiti artists, were the days when they were still considered vandals. So, remember, they used to...
No, definitely. I was
them in jail.
a vandal myself, but I didn't get
I
caught.
hear.
Yeah.
I had learned from your talks, so they were put in jail if you were caught, or the parents were fined for that. So they used to come to my classes and put a bandana and talk to my students with their binders.
Oh, that's... what? Yeah. Really? Wow.
But I also invited all the muralists like Eloy Torres, Frank Romero, all the pioneer muralists, because while in East Los Angeles, I saw the birth of the Chicano mural movement happening in Estrada Court. So I used to go there. My son got older. He couldn't drive, so he would ask me, Mom, can you take me to see this and see that? Or can you take me to do pieces? And, he doesn't like me to say this, but he did like everybody else did at the time. He was painting, pieces in the alleys in East Los Angeles, and I was always amazed about his ability to paint, and I supported him. Yeah. But I did tell him that if he wanted to stay an artist, he needed to go and study so he could defend his artworks. Yeah. So, it's great to be an artist, but if you can't speak about what you do, it's a problem. Yeah. And of course, artists always hope that the viewers are the one but you have occasions where you need to talk about what you do. So he did. But anyhow, and then he began taking me to see all the graffiti artists. I got to meet, all the difference of age, I think is 5 or 6 years between he really had a lot of admiration for Vile and Asylum and Man Juan and, later on with all the youngers like Retna and, I got to know everybody, every graffiti artist, underground, overground, and all the muralists.
In the beginning, when I would see you at art shows, I would be like, ¿Quién es esa señora? But you were always just so admiring of the work and the artists and just extremely, supportive. And then little by little, I learned about your work with Mural Conservancy, et cetera, and all that. So, it was interesting. But it explains a lot of why you have always been around the scene.
Yes. So to me, supporting the artists has been my most important thing to do in life, because I feel that politics and the arts are so tied together. It's impossible to separate them. So I totally admire how the artists, through their brushes or spray cans, speak about the injustices and try to make this world a better world. Yeah. So, when the Mural Conservancy invited me to work for them, it was important to me that I keep on doing what I wanted to do, which was to restore the murals in the Latino communities, whether we're in San Fernando Valley or Santa Monica or East Los Angeles. And the first ones that we did were at the Estrada Courts and then Ramona Gardens. And so it was continuing with my way of thinking and obviously doing the ones on the 101 freeway, which now are completely tagged, and understanding the reasons behind the tagging.
Yeah, can you talk to us a little bit about that? I mean, that is something that everybody sees. I know that it's extremely sad when you see the murals covered by graffiti. And at the same time, we're like graffiti advocates, but at the same time, we love the murals. Like, how does that battle... I remember hearing a few things, but maybe if you could clarify that whole battle between them and what's going on with that. And I don't know if you have any insight.
Well, the thing is that if you remember, when you were doing pieces in the streets, there was a respect that the graffiti artists did not tag on our murals.
Yeah.
But I fault everybody for this. I fault the city, number one, the state, number two, or the state first with the ones on the freeway, because we have no support for maintaining the murals. That's number one. The other thing that it also has to do with my values and my beliefs, that we have this segment of the population that we had alienated, you know, if you think about the graffiti artists, which in many cases people put together with the gang members, you know, and there was a crossing, you know, at times. But, you know, it's because the injustices in this world. Because we have nothing to offer to that segment of population. I'm not talking about the today graffiti artists that are in museums and galleries.
Yeah.
That happened after.
Yeah.
That happened way after, when graffiti art was allowed in the museums and began selling like crazy, like Banksy's pieces for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the regular kid that goes to school, that has no support at home. And I think Fabian de Boria spoke about this when you interviewed him. No support from the neighborhood, from the community. The parents have to work 2, 3, 4 jobs in order to support them. There's no supervision. The kids get bored, they get tired, they go in the streets, and then who gives them the love? Who gives them what I had in my own family when I was a little kid? With a loving mother, with the tight group of brothers and sisters. That kid that grows by himself or herself at home finds that in the streets. And then, you know, they do whatever they do together because it's a tightness that brings to them. I'm not in no sense justifying gang members or graffiti taggers, because that's, to me, my difference between tagging and graffiti art. To me, they're two different animals.
Yeah.
Taggers are the ones that vandalize private property or go and vandalize the iconic murals. But why do they do that? Because they need the visibility that nobody else is giving them, you know?
Yeah.
So the only way they can be known is by writing their name there. Have we, as an organization, and I did try with many people that you probably know, that needed to have the 300 hours of community.
What was that one this time?
But going back to the taggers and, you know, doing what they do, I believe that is society's fault because we're not giving opportunity to our people equally. And that's the reason why I keep on fighting for social justice and human rights, equal education. And because I believe that if we give opportunities to our youth, to everybody, you know, to the people who don't have means to study, to go to school for free.
Yeah.
Because like today, you know, the college debt for poor people or Latinos or African American is huge.
Yeah.
So to me, is that if we offer equality to everybody, then many things wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So
that's the dream, right?
It is, but it's not impossible.
No.
It's not impossible. And I will keep on dreaming of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that dream, but there's always people on the other side fighting to keep everything,
But that's why we can't keep quiet about it.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
Because, that's what the youth need to understand, that they need to go and vote for the people who are going to help them or defend them or, advocate for the equal rights. So I think we need to participate. To me, that's the most important part.
Yeah.
You want a better society, you need to be part of it. You need to participate.
Civic engagement.
A community happens together. We better our community together, not isolating ourselves from each other.
Yeah.
So just during the pandemic, we saw that. I mean, in my community, we help each other. We gave each other what we have excess of and exchange, barter, and we made it. So, but anyhow, and then, working for the Mural Conservancy, the Mural Conservancy was dormant for 10 or 15 years. So when they asked me if I wanted to join them, it was to bring it back, and which I think I did big times because we were on the paper all the time.
Yes.
On TV, on the paper. We were interviewed by 62 different countries.
Wow.
Even from India, they interviewed me, from everywhere, about how we were doing this, about the moratorium and defending the rights of the artists to be. I mean, to me, it was exactly going against the First Amendment. How is it possible that the artists wouldn't have rights to paint? So to me, that wasn't part of my job definition, but I took it upon myself that it was. But my job was about documenting the murals, the existing and the ones that were painted every day, and writing about them. So I helped build the Mural Conservancy's website, which is used today by scholars from all over. I run into people all the time that tell me that they go to the Mural Conservancy's website to
anytime you Google anything about alley murals, you get a lot of hits for that website.
And then, and also to document, to write about, and to restore them. So I had to go everywhere begging for money, which is not something I ever did.
You became also like the spokesperson, right, for murals in Los Angeles. And so with that power comes great responsibility, right? Exactly. So you kind of, you're the person to ask because you're the person that has the most pull in those moments, I imagine.
Yes,
right?
and it was heavy on my shoulders, but I had to say thank you. I always have a lot of gratitude for the hundreds of artists that were behind me when I was going to that podium to speak for the rights of the artists, because hundreds of artists of all colors, and not only muralists and graffiti artists, but any artist, because as I always told them in the meetings or when I spoke, this moratorium, the mural moratorium, is against the First Amendment, Freedom of speech. It's impossible that we don't have that. But anyhow, so in the last 3 years, I worked super hard, going almost every day, talking to the 15 council members. And at the time, Mayor Villaraigosa, and then, Garcetti was the one who ended up signing the ordinance. But it was a lot of work, a lot of headache, a lot of heartache, and being always prepared to say the right thing. And so it took a toll on me emotionally and physically. My job was 24/7. So in 2016, I think it was, that I quit my job. I wanted to be without any stress in my life. It was like crazy, And I wanted to do my own thing. People are always pushing me that I have to write that book, that I have like 170 pages already written, but I need to organize. I have the index and I need to organize it. And I took photos myself. They're not great photos, but it's important for you to see the mural, not how excellent like a photo that you would take. I just took photos. And so I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to be able to go and travel, go and spend time with my mom, not 3 weeks, but a month, 2 months, 3 months, and I began doing that.
That's good.
Spending 3 months in Chile,
Yeah.
travel to Mexico.
Yeah, that's part of why it took so long to finally have you here, because you have been traveling a lot since.
And I apologize for that.
No, that's fine. No, that's totally okay.
Yeah.
I'm just agreeing that you travel a lot, and that's so good that you have the freedom to do that. Like it's a.
Yeah.
My mother too. Like, she just started to travel everywhere all the time. Whenever she gets a chance, she's on, and that's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah.
And I don't see any other way, a better way. You can read a lot, but immersing yourself in a different culture is how you learn. So I gave myself the opportunity to go to Europe, to Mexico. I've been many times, but just to go there and stay there and absorb the scents and the colors and the people and the welcoming. The Mexican people are so incredibly welcoming, and so I traveled with my son and my daughter-in-law. We went to different places and Chile every year without the pressure of having to come back to work, because during this time I was curating a DLAR show and organizing panels where I have very important people sitting in my panels from the city.
So how did that curating for the LA Art Show start with you?
They invited me. Kim Martindale.
What year was it?
I think the first year I did it was 2013.
Okay.
13, 14, 15, and 16, I think it was.
Okay.
So I think he talked to me, and I knew him because I'm always everywhere, and which sometimes I feel, is it a good thing or a bad thing? But anyhow.
It's a great thing.
So, I just feel that if I can't support the artist financially,
at least showing up.
the least that I can do is go there and support.
Do a little post or something, anything,
Absolutely. And, whenever they ask me to write about them, I do that. Or I have an Excel list of artists classified by what they do and whether it's political, graffiti, landscape, photo, realistic, or whatever. I recommend a lot of the artists. A lot of the artists had gotten opportunities because I had introduced them to certain people, or I had recommended them for a specific mural project or for an exhibition. So, it's,
you meet a lot of people and you share the connections like freely, and that's really good.
Yes, and when I'm in a party and I see people that specific artists should get to know.
Mira, ven pa acá.
Exactly. I always do that.
You've done that.
I always connect people because I think that being at the right place at the right time is important, but when somebody gives you a little bit of push, it helps you. So anyhow, I did all that. I had different Latino artists. I spoke about graffiti.
This was like, I'm going to have to just point out, there wasn't a lot of Latino art before. Or was
the
LA Art Show. Was there before?
Not a lot.
So
they were, but the masterpieces.
Okay, but you helped bring in a lot of the local artists.
I invited a lot of
shed light on some people that did not have any.
Yes, and I invited people graffiti artists as well, and pioneer muralists, as well as visual artists, Latino, Chicano mostly, Chicano. I don't know if you know this, but I was baptized Chilecana by Magu. So as
beautiful.
a Chilecana, I was very proud I still do that all the time, inviting people to, and I'm very humbled that I've been able to break into the Chicano world. Maybe many people don't even know that I'm not Chicana. I have no idea.
But you are, by the words of Magu.
Yes.
Chilecana.
And, yes. So I began organizing panels at the LAR show where we talk about the rights of the artists to express themselves on walls, whether you were a graffiti artist or, traditional muralist, and then inviting them not only to speak, but to be actively part of the exhibitions that I curated within the show, and also light painting. So I had wonderful experience when I invited Willie Heron and the Uglar group team to do murals, and Levi Ponce, and they did such an amazing job that year the founder of the LAR show told me that the convention center was always heavy in the front, but nothing in the back. But I turned the table to be heavier in the back, and so there were.
You had more people looking at the live art painting than looking
and
at
the
the
paintings
things
and the paintings, you know. So it was like I also invited the first year that I curated the show, and I invited Vargas,
Robert
to
Vargas.
paint live.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I invited him to paint. That was his first year, and he's been painting
Ever since.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, from then on.
Yeah.
You know, there were all these things. So when I left my job to have a more relaxed life, I travel and all that. But at the same time, people were asking me to curate shows. So when the Getty PSD LA happened, I curated, I think I was part of 5 shows as a curator, academic advisor, spoke at the Skirball
Center?
Yes.
Yeah.
Spoke there about the art. Was part of the Murales Rebeldes a la Plaza de Cultura. I curated the show at El La Brea. So there were 5 different things that I did for that. And I continue to do that. So the LA Council has acknowledged me with big.
Yeah.
I have so many.
Of those accolades,
Those certificates, including that, you know, the Latinas to Watch in the art community, and I don't know, all these different awards that they had given me. I never had shown them or told people, but maybe this is the time to say it. I'm 73, so why not, right?
You could frame them all and cover one big wall.
I probably could. So, you know, so I have done that, and then also Chich Marin and Natasha Marin, who are wonderful people. They were my mentors. They probably still are. I had never said you're not, but you know, his support for the artists and the Chicano artists, and opening the museum, which was so needed because we didn't have anything, nothing.
Yeah.
I mean. So to me, that opened up a door that the artists didn't have. That artists that are, you know, like now, you know, of course, he donated all 550 pieces to the Chich. They're not his any longer; they belong to the Chich. But he keeps on supporting and acquiring, and we also have Altamed, whom I have also worked with, you know. So these 2 huge institutions that support Chicano Latino art are incredible organizations that are making the Latino art community a better place.
Yeah.
That they're giving hope to the emerging artists.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's an incredible, important thing that developed in the last years.
Having the strong foundation of like museum bureaucracies and the ultimate foundations bureaucracy, like having that strong support of the money behind it and all that really elevates a lot of this artwork. We love the artwork regardless, but it does help it. Do you think, like, I mean, do you agree with me that like it puts it in a different stratosphere or in a different?
Well, because, you know, it's a museum.
Yeah.
So, and I see these 2 organizations differently than I see other museums because, you know, they're rather new, you know. The other museums, so it's a different story to me because, I mean, you know, like, obviously you have to have talent and they had to have noticed you somehow. If you're an artist and you stay inside your studio and you don't show your artwork, it's a difficult thing. But I feel that the museums, I'm talking about the top museums, they, in general, I mean, I shouldn't say in general, the board of directors are collectors. Many people on the board are collectors, and those collectors are going to push to have their artists' work shown on those museums.
Yes.
So what does the community, what's the audience get to see is pieces that these particular people are collecting. Consequently, who becomes more and more known, right? Well, I see now with the Chich and Altamed that they're collecting art from top artists and emerging artists, some artists that many of us probably haven't heard, and they're including artists from the Southwest of United States, which is wonderful.
I love going in there and seeing a huge chunk of artists that I had never heard of and that have amazing work that come from little nooks and crannies of my community that I was not aware of, or, like you're saying, the Southwest or different parts where you're like, there's Mexicans in Oklahoma? Yes, there are.
Exactly.
So.
And Utah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's beautiful when I do get to discover new artists, and you wouldn't imagine that you would be discovering new artists in museums, but yeah, it's good to have that in museums, not just in smaller art shows.
Yeah, and that's going to get better and better because, like Chish has shown Chicano artists internationally.
Yeah.
Altamed has done the same. I just came back from Spain where Altamed brought artworks from Chicanos to Madrid, where I was part of a talk with the Minister of Education in there. It was so important. Yeah. This exhibition was part of a group of 200 events that happened during the summer in Madrid that is called Verano en la Villa. And just yesterday, the organizer of that sent me a note and said, the exhibition that you were part of, la exhibición de que tú fuiste parte fue un éxito. But I'm nothing but grateful to Altamed for having invited me to be part of that because, all of them are doing a great job there. The curatorial team and Castulo de la Rocha. Yeah. The same with the Chish, where, Melissa Richardson helped Chish to acquire artworks that were donated, but now they have their own acquisition department, and that's something that the artists, some of them don't know. When the artist propose to a museum or an institution, art institution to buy, it's not that the people that they know are going to say yes or no. They might have a vote on it, but there is a committee, there's an acquisition department. They are the ones that decide. Yeah,
it's a process.
Exactly. So, and I think it's important for the artist to be participant of the art community as, like my poor example. Be there to support your friends, and that is going to make you meet people, and you're going to connect with others that are doing the same as you're doing, or they're going to invite you to have an exhibition in a little gallery, maybe in a little neighborhood, but people are going to hear about you.
All those little galleries in little neighborhoods right now are connecting. And there is so much. Yeah,
look at this Tlaloc and what's the other Tlaloc gallery, and the other one, what's it, Latao?
La Pao, La Pao and Tlaloc. Yeah. Two people that I've tried to have on, but they're extremely busy. Yeah, so hopefully we can have them on one day.
And also I have to give acknowledgments and gratitude to Charlie James.
Yeah, of course.
Charlie James is doing a great job. I mean, we never had a gallery that showed, and I met Charlie James Gallery when he was the first gallery in there. In that block, there was no other gallery. And I told him one time, we talked about it, the exhibition that I remember the gallery from, and it was fantastic. He remembered the artists as well. But he has brought a wonderful group of people that he represents. He works so much. Yeah. And of course, Ever doing a great job there, Yes. So now, it's not like when I was young in the city where we didn't have any art, where we had to go to the west side to see an exhibition. There were only 3 galleries in this side of the river. So we had to go to Beverly Hills to see artwork, which, by the way, was the first time I saw real artwork like Dali's, and I shouldn't say real, but from the masterpieces that you see in books. Yeah. But now we have an incredible number of galleries. We have these 2 huge organizations that are helping our art community. they're taking Chicano art and Latino art out of here to France, to Madrid, to Italy, to Germany. You know, Altameda is taking it was in Germany, now they're taking it to Guanajuato, to the Cervantino, the same exhibition. So, you know, did our artists, when I was younger, had that opportunity? No. The younger generation has an incredible advantage over the older artists. However, those older artists are now part of those collections, so they also get to be seen out of this country.
There's so much love right now going out to everybody. Yeah, definitely. Now that you have retired from your job, but you're still active and stuff, how do you see like your next 5 years and your engagement with the art community? Like, what do you still want to do for it, or how are you still? I know you're going to be a part of it as somebody that comes to see the art and support it.
Well, you know, I've been part of a lot of boards, or the advisory boards, or the visual art board, or like at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, like our share. And I say no to a lot of that because it's a lot of commitment. And I want to be free of doing whatever I want, whether it's nothing, whether it's absolutely nothing.
I always thank the people that do all the meetings, because there's so many meetings and organizing things. There's so many things that happen behind the scenes.
Absolutely. I mean, And that was important to me because I recommended artists that were then exhibited at the museum, like La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. I introduced them to so many Latinos that then became part of the exhibition.
That's good.
And I share the same. You know, I still am very active with my connections at City Hall. So I always invite the artists, the Latino, Chicano artists, to submit their images to the mayor's calendar because, you know, I don't know why, you know, it's almost always the same people, but I would love to see the successful, the younger, the emerging, the underground, whomever.
Everybody,
Because, you know, we are so many of us. So I want to see them. I want people to take notice of what they do. So that's important. But to participate, like I said earlier, to vote, in participate in your society like that, voting. But in the art, if you want to be noticed, do certain things, you know, that are important. So, But how I see myself, what I want to do, I do a lot of gardening and cooking, and I try to go. I grow a lot of veggies in my garden. I'm very lucky. I have one of those big old backyards where I have Swiss chard and spinach and tomatoes, and I have every herb that you can think of. Including some volunteers that had dropped in my backyard. Not this time, but it happened, you know. But I have, you know, in the pandemic, we were pretty much eating from my little huerto.
Awesome.
And it's very tiny, you know, my little orchard, but I love it because I go there and I pick up strawberries, I pick up figs,
oh my God, that's so
apples. Good. I have, you know, rosemary is like a tree. I have lemons. I put my lemons out when they're producing like hundreds of pounds in the front because we can have so many. So I like to do that. I like to cook healthy food, and I keep on curating. I just curated a show at the Avenue 50.
That's right.
About the marking the 50 year of the coup d'etat in Chile, which brought hundreds of people. I haven't seen that for a long time. There were people on the sidewalk.
Oh, that's good.
You know, when we were talking, and I invited 12 artists and 5 visual artists and 7 arpilleristas, which is arpilleras are embroidery on fabric.
Oh, okay.
And they're political. That began in Chile. I mean, you know, they had the quilts in other places, but in Chile we had the arpilleras, and that's what women did during the dictatorship, where nobody knew what was happening in Chile. Nobody knew that people were dying, that people were being tortured. So women, with found little pieces of materials and yarn and whatever they found, they made these little arpilleras, there were mostly embroideries on little piece of, you know how the flower, and they come in those little baggies of fabric? Well, in those baggies there were, and Violeta Parra was the first one to make those, and she was the first one to show them at the Louvre in the 60s.
Wow.
So it's a Chilean tradition. So 7 people, including myself, we made that. We exhibited them at MOLA in 2020, March of 2020. And as I said, they're all political. They're all about what happened in Chile. And this time, again, is about, marking the 50 year. So 7 arpilleristas are there, their works, and then I'm giving a talk at Occidental College, invited us, to give a talk. So I'm going to be giving a talk.
On the same subject?
Yes.
Okay, that's
about 9/11, the Chilean 9/11, about the arpilleras, and about the exhibition at Avenue 50.
Wow.
And but I keep on getting people asking me, "Can you curate the show here? Can you curate?" And I try not to be mean, but I really would like to take the time. Like I told you at the beginning here, what's happening to me, and I need
just slow down and do less.
I need to relax. I need, and maybe now is the time to put that book together. With all what I have here.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're saying take a break, but work.
But it's a different type of work, where.
But it's interesting that you still want to produce. That's what. That's what.
But I told you I have 170 pages of that book about murals and the evolution and all that. And when we helped craft the mural ordinance that Garcetti signed in 2013. I realized how different the murals had been, like they began. Now there's a new renaissance of murals. And it's a different subject. There are a lot of decorative murals.
Yeah.
I miss the ones with the message where I found
there's
myself.
too many pretty, designed murals, right? We do miss that, raw mural.
But there are some artists that are still doing that, I've noticed that a few, not many, but it used to be the other way around, So I think that a lot, and rightly so, now the artists are getting finally paid for what they're doing. In the old days, nobody got paid for doing murals. They painted for free.
You figured out how to get the paint and you did it.
Exactly. But now, things are different. People are getting paid, which is a job. I always tell the artist, you don't go and tell your dentist to fix a tooth for free.
Yeah.
Why should people ask an artist to do this for free? So, so that's, I think my role will continue to be, one helping, participating, if nothing else, attending the exhibitions of artists, advocating for the artists, advocating for social justice, advocating for, equality. I will keep on doing that until the day I die.
Yeah.
That's part of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You're a very, warm and polite, but always stern, right? Always, a fighter. Yeah.
Yes.
But you've always been very friendly and warm and polite. It's beautiful.
You.
It's always nice to see you at events and always get that greeting from you. Hola, ¿cómo estás? And all that. It's always beautiful. We are winding down to the last minutes, so I want to ask you if there's anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to mention.
I think we had touched on most of the things I've done and what I would like to do. Perhaps just tell the artists that never lose hope.
Yeah.
Never lose hope. Just
hope is a big thing for an artist, right?
Pursue your dream. I came here with nothing.
Yeah.
And I was able to finish my higher education, to find a job, and to build myself up to be, a person that hopefully does something positive and within society. When I see those young. So I just want to tell the artists that to never lose hope.
Yeah.
To keep on doing what they love to do. Not to give up on themselves, number one, but just to pursue what they love, and the other things follow.
Yeah.
It's incredible. People always say that to
Sometimes it
others.
takes a very long time, but it's still worth it.
Yes, and dedication, dedication. And I wanted to say thank you to you because I was thinking in my way here
Nomás siga hablando. Yours is still
that
recording.
I was thinking in my way here that what you have done with your podcast, I understand that you have over 70 now?
I am this is episode 85, I think.
85. Can you imagine? I mean, this is anybody knows that has the ability, like a museum, where you have, 85 when you have number 100.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the education that you had brought to all of us through your podcast?
Oh, thank you.
And I'm telling you, I know a lot, but I didn't realize how little I know about so many artists until I began listening to your podcast.
We're just going to stay on one camera. That camera is giving us trouble, so we're just going to stay on one. But let's just get down to the last question that we ask everybody that comes on this podcast. Mm-hmm. If an alien being came on this planet, something from another world, and looked at you and saw everything that you've done in your life and everything that you've been through, and calculated it in their alien way, in their magical scientific way, and then just looked at you and said, Isabel Rojas, how do you do it?
What race is that alien going to be like?
Oh. I don't know. There's no, wherever they came from.
No, I think I do it with a lot of passion.
A lot of passion.
Lot of passions, lot of dedication, and lots of love.
With a lot of Chilean passion.
Love, and worldwide passion,
Okay.
because my love is for everybody, whether you are from wherever. I have a lot of love for humans. So
Definitely.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I want to again thank you very much for making it out today. We appreciate you so much, and I look forward to seeing you at shows like we always do.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for watching.